episode 120 of the Inside Bite. I'm your host, Tim Schaefer. I'm here with my co-host, Rudy. And once people see the video side of this, it's going to look a little different. Now, it's going to sound even more different because I'm in a lot more open space. I'm now in the studio. I'm in a temporary space till the audio room is all set up, but I'm just kind of like at a desk in the corner of one of the rooms, camera pointed at me, just till we can actually get into a more official space with like big nice table and all that mess. But we got internet installed, a few walls painted, things are coming along, shampooing the floors, the whole shebang. So
very cool.
I'm thinking probably 2 months realistically, to where things are looking more like a set. And yeah. So
it's a cool idea, man.
Yeah.
Seems like it's coming together pretty well so far. So,
but in the meantime, I'm just trying to think of a layout to sort of do temporarily. And I was just like, hey, let's put you in a little TV, even though it looks more like a remote guest than a co-host. But I think it also looks cool. We'll see. But how's the week been?
Not too bad, man. I've had a lot of like trainings, meetings at work, staying after school, stuff like that, which always sucks, especially because I work an hour away, as I've said in the past. So it's been rough, man. I've been tired, but as we'll talk about later, I have been using my Switch a lot lately. So I don't know. I feel like I get these random bursts of like Switch. I love my Switch again. I'm just bringing it with me everywhere. You go to use the bathroom, you bring it with you. It's like that's the mode I'm in right now with Switch, which is awesome. I always think like when there's a new game that I want to play on Switch, I'm like, okay, Rudy, just do what you always do. And then I don't know if I'm not feeling the game, or maybe I'm just not feeling like playing that much, I won't bring it with me ever. I won't have it while I'm waiting 5 minutes or something. But when I really get into a game, it's like everywhere.
Yeah. No, I got you. Exactly.
It's the perfect system for that, man. So good.
Me as well, which we'll get into why a little later in the show. But while we're beating around the bush of the Switch and all that, I was trying to think of a main topic, and we like to always praise Nintendo a little hard on this show. And I was like, you know what? Why don't we just actually discuss why we're even into Nintendo, why we got into Nintendo, our history with them, the history of Nintendo in general. There's so many angles we could take this, but I figured we might as well start the show talking about this, so in the future people just have a little more context of why we're up Nintendo's booty hole as much as we are.
I agree. All right. So
I guess I could start here of, okay, Nintendo themselves, right? They've been around since the 1800s.
Sure.
Card games, random toys, stuff like that. And then, of course, toys led into video games. And at the time of video games starting, it was just seeming like yet another toy of like kid playing with. I don't think anyone was expecting in the 70s and 80s it was actually going to be a thing that people took seriously, with in-depth stories that made you contemplate life for weeks after completing stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
It's turned into, one of the mediums of a book, film, now we have video games as one of these channels. And weirdly, like we've mentioned in prior episodes, video games have now overtaken the other industries of where the most money is made, funny enough. So
Oh yeah, it's huge. It's absolutely ridiculous. And we see how Nintendo first party games sell. It's like totally ridiculous.
Before Nintendo, video games were just in that state, right?
Right.
I mean, even before Atari, of just random, here's a graphic we can manipulate on a screen, kind of rudimentary things, into like Pong, into Atari stuff of like, here's asteroids trying to get a high score, stuff like that. Right. Nintendo was the first time where think more of like, Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, things that can actually tell stories on a box you can plug into a TV. Now, you could argue that like PC rudimentary stuff did it first, but you're talking thousands of people playing, let's say Ultima or something,
Right.
compared to millions adopting a Nintendo.
Right. It was a way larger. I feel like they. I mean, it's no exaggeration to say they probably saved video games. Honestly, there was so
Well,
much going.
yeah, before
I
that,
mean,
right? What you had that weird story with ET to where he just like mass
yeah,
landfill dumping. And during that time, video games were considered like on the way out.
so crazy. I still can't
Arcades
believe
were
that's a.
dying. There wasn't really a need for a home console. No one really liked what was really there. It was just seeming like, okay, it was cool for about 5 to 10 years and then started to fall off. And it wasn't until the Nintendo that was like, no, this is a serious medium. And to where video games started to even become a thing. Now,
Right.
we don't like Nintendo just based off of that fact alone, right? If they just started it, right, that would have been a cool story, and then we move on to other things. They're still around, and they're still selling bigger than any other guys. What 40 years later,
Yeah.
and they are only getting more important as time goes on.
Yeah. It's. I mean, I think a lot of people have become like disillusioned with Nintendo. They have like these thoughts about, man, they used to be so great and now they suck, right? I think you do have a lot of people like that. It's a shame too, because they've made some of the best games that they've ever made ever in the last, 5 years, probably, Think like or even go further, 10 years. Think like Mario Galaxy or
Mario Galaxy, Mario Odyssey,
Odyssey or
Zelda Tears of the Kingdom,
I mean Breath of the
to
Wild,
yeah,
obviously. Like some of their best games out are just coming out, So
yeah.
man, it's a good time to be a Nintendo fan right now, I'd say, So
I would say the only generation to where it was like felt, I don't know, mediocre is pretty much Wii U in terms of its library of like there were some Wii U games that I liked, don't get me wrong, but you're
yeah,
talking
yeah.
maybe 5 to 10 games total by Nintendo, to where any other system from NES, SNES, N64, GameCube, Wii, Switch in the moment, right? Like you could probably list 30 gigantic Nintendo hits that
Oh yeah.
changed the
Oh yeah.
industry, kind of talk.
And to be fair to the Wii U, listen, we all understand the Wii U was marketed the wrong way, it didn't have
Yeah.
the right hardware. There was a bunch of problems with it, right? But I will say there were some damn good games on that system that I really enjoyed. And the whole idea of what the Wii U did and playing remote like that, I'm sorry, but they really made it a
Without
really,
that, we wouldn't have even gotten the Switch.
yeah, exactly. They really made it a novel idea, like a, wow, if I could get this, maybe be, not 20 feet away, but maybe wherever I want, and a
Yeah.
smaller form factor and so on. And they did it. And I know there's people out there who say, man, I hope the next system they make is not like the Switch, like a portable thing. I think that would be the biggest mistake that they could make at this point. And don't get me wrong, I would love a cool, high-powered Nintendo system, but the portability is just such a great idea for them. I don't know, it just works so well. So
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. So that's Nintendo as just a scope of a company. Now, my love, right? The first video game I remember playing, and I think it just actually was just the original Super Mario Brothers. Really little, 2 or 3 years old, not being able to jump over the first little hole on the first level, kind of situation there. But I mean, that bled into so many grand adventures that I had on that original Nintendo. And like I was saying before, like it wasn't just trying to get a high score. You could actually tell stories in these Nintendo games to where that was not a thing prior. Right.
right,
And then of
right,
course it expanded and got even greater going forward with them. Super Nintendo literally just being a super version of the original Nintendo in every possible way. Um, and a lot of those same games, like if I mentioned Dragon Quest, if you see what you could tell in terms of story and the scope and the towns and going to different lands and all of that on the Super Nintendo compared to the original Nintendo, it's a big drastic thing. But without that original Nintendo, that could have never happened. And
right.
without that, none of this, like, like the original PlayStation making all of these crazy JRPGs that is my favorite genre of all time, again, you really have to thank Nintendo even creating stuff like that. And
Right.
it's all funneling um, anything you could possibly think of what a video game does that you may like, whether it's just fun to play, whether it's trying to tell a story. Ninja Gaiden, like, that was like one of the first games that had like cutscenes.
Right.
You could point it back to that, because without that, you would just be having a bunch of people trying to figure out how it works. Same with like 3D gaming, right? Without that Mario 64 and that Ocarina of Time, everyone would be scratching their heads how to exactly control in a 3D environment. And it took a lot of masterminds to figure it out. And it's Nintendo we thank for this.
Right.
You
I
know?
totally agree with everything you're saying. And I think it's very easy for people to discount that nowadays. It's just not fair sometimes, Nintendo will come out with a new IP and they'll be like, that looks dumb. And then they'll come out with a game that's a known quantity, like Mario or Zelda. Well, they've done that a million times. It's just like they can't win,
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's just the same way that people say that there's like a Nintendo bias. I think it goes both ways. Do I think that some people think Nintendo game's going to be good because it's Nintendo? Sure, there's probably some people who do that. But do I also think some people immediately won't play a Nintendo game because it's a Nintendo game? Yeah, I also think that's true. So
Yeah, I
I
mean,
get both sides of it.
people could give a bias towards a PlayStation or a Nintendo based
Oh
off of
yeah,
them having a long history, and I could see some people doing that, but in no way can that be the reason why they're as big as they are, is because a bunch of people ride the coattails of their past. No,
yeah, no way.
obviously they still make great, amazing content, or
Right.
they wouldn't be in the space. Like,
Nintendo gets games that are rated poorly. It happens.
yeah,
It's just a bunch of them are not because they're good games. I just don't understand how, I don't know, Elden Ring or Baldur's Gate 3 could have a high 90 something Metacritic score and it's valid. But then Mario Odyssey or Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, it's not valid. It's just silly to
well,
me.
remember when Breath of the Wild came out and a lot of people were saying that they took a lot of inspiration and copies of Dark Souls and stuff? And
Right.
then From Software was like, what are you talking about? We are
Yeah,
copying
we got it
Nintendo.
from Zelda. Yeah. Yep. Yep. And then
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
look at how Elden Ring, look at what they did. They
yeah.
definitely took some ideas
Of
from
course.
Breath of the Wild. 100%. They
Yeah.
made it an open world, but they made it a very free open world where you can paint your own map kind of and
Prior to
put the
Breath of the Wild, we were in the mind state of a Ubisoft game of,
right question mark
yes,
tower. Yeah. Yep.
here's this item, go find it and fill out your map. This game, Breath of the Wild, is like, no, you find the stuff. We ain't telling you anything, right? And
Yep.
Elden Ring took that exact same formula, and it's a formula I love. I want to explore it. I don't want you to tell me what's there, you know.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
so even today in the current generation, Nintendo is still coming out with brand new ideas that the rest of the industry copy. It's not just a history thing. It's not just they once were great, now they're just doing the same old stuff. Without Breath of the Wild, you're not having an Elden
Yeah. Agreed.
Ring. And that is this generation, So it's and let's pivot into this of like, this is what we hear the most when it comes to Nintendo is exactly what I was just saying. It's a lot of, oh, well, that's the past. They were great at one time. And we need to talk on what is Nintendo doing even now that is still bringing value to the video game industry as a whole, right? So we talked Breath of the Wild and all those ideas, which lead into Elden Ring and games being like, okay, when Odyssey, right, Assassin's Creed Odyssey came out, they were like, hey, why don't we just uh, activate an option that a player can turn on to where it's more of a discovery instead of telling us where the stuff is, right? And a lot of people
Right.
really like that from that. Without Zelda, that wouldn't have happened. You start to finally have games go down this route. And so it was a really big evolution for the change of the industry. Now, Could you think of something else in recent time that Nintendo has done that a lot of people are taking and grasping? I'm trying to think of even
Um,
a simple premise like a WarioWare of like,
sure.
here's a bunch of rapid fire mini game stuff at you. You don't know what to expect. See if you can get through it all. That's what leads into all of these games of like uh, you that trombone game that recently was popping off and a lot of people
Oh, I
really
remember that
liking,
one.
right? Without WarioWare, you wouldn't have that. Or
No, I don't think so.
that pizza tower game that recently came out. It's taken from Wario Land on how you go through the levels and how the functions work there. So there's still games being made from Nintendo ideas in really clever ways that wouldn't be made otherwise. So this next system, I'm imagining, is coming out next year. I mean, I put a lot of money on it. There's just far too many things pointing at this point. Um, we now have a portable system. I can think of a big one, Steam
Yeah.
Deck. Without
Oh yeah.
Switch,
Oh, for
I
sure.
don't think there's a Steam Deck. I don't. People didn't realize how badly they loved playing portable, but it not being a necessarily portable experience of like, oh, I could play cute little games on this device, like a Game Boy or from a 3DS to a PSP to a Vita, but they're far more dumbed down experiences. This is like, yes, it may not be 4K 60, but this is genuinely game experiences that you have in the current day being able to play on the go, right? And then from that leads into the Steam Deck of like, okay, well, now I can play my PC games in the way of Nintendo with its Switch. So that's already a big industry changing thing. And now you have the Asus Rock. Now you have all of these handheld devices that are really popping off because of that Switch as well. So there's
Oh yeah.
another thing that Nintendo has basically changed the video game industry because of their ideas. So I don't think they're running out of ideas and it's
No,
all a history thing.
not at all. I think if that were the case, they wouldn't come up with. They always come up with new ideas, and people always trash them for it at first. You know, it's like it always happens. I think that you're right. There would totally be no Steam Deck without the Switch because they see the demand for it, right? And then there wouldn't even be that PlayStation Portal, even though it's not exactly what you would expect. I guarantee they looked at the Switch and thought, okay, we need to do something similar.
VR is because of the Wii, weirdly enough, because of
Hmm.
the motion controls with the remote, that led into PlayStation making those PlayStation Move controllers, which led into them playing a VR space where like, oh, we can have these controllers sort of like a nunchuck and Wiimote sort of thing, and giving that premise of how controllers would work in a VR space. I don't think if we would have had the Wii, we wouldn't have been able to have nearly as great of a VR experience that we have today. We would still be holding some sort of traditional controller, or who knows where we would be without the Wii release.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
So there's so many things you can point at of Nintendo making something and people, oh, now I understand how this can work and we can use this with a different piece of tech to get what we want out of it. But without Nintendo creating it, we wouldn't be where we are on all of these different parts within the industry. So I'm just spitballing off of my mind. I'm sure if I really sat down here, for a few days and really try to catalog everything Nintendo revolutionized, it would be a lot. I mean, you're talking trigger buttons, Nintendo. You're talking Rumble, Nintendo. I don't know. There's so many things I could come up with to where without Nintendo, we would be what 20 years behind of where we would be today.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. They've been such an instrumental part of the video game industry, and they're still going. I don't think there's any stopping from them anytime soon. So, unfortunately, the people who've been saying that they're going to be out of business for the last, I don't know, 25 years, probably have some a rude awakening. So
their sales have never been greater. It's
I'm so glad
hilarious.
they're still around. So glad they're making awesome games, and we'll talk about at least one of them. I'll talk about later. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I guess that'll do it outside
yeah,
of I really think with this next Switch, they're holding off on all the big stuff. Like, I guarantee you, when we get that Switch 2, whatever they call it, Super Switch, that's what I'm hoping for. I want the Super Nintendo Switch. That'd be cool. But Metro Prime 4, I'm seeing that right on day one reveal. A Metro Prime 4 finally getting past just not a logo. And I'm expecting the next 3D Mario because the last was Odyssey. That came in 2017. You're
Right.
talking
Oh, wow.
6 years since then. I guarantee you that thing is boiling hot right now,
Oh, I'm sure.
ready to be shown at any moment. So, um, those two things are alone is going to be incredibly exciting.
Agreed. Yeah. No, I can't wait. I can't wait to get more info about it. You know. Oh.
Yep. Hold on. Okay. But yeah, that'll do it on the Nintendo bandwagon. Let's go ahead and get into the news. This first thing here, um, .hack.com has a counter on it. 127 days and 22 hours, 33 minutes and 20 seconds is whenever I snapped the screenshot here about, I found this out about 2 or 3 minutes ago. Super hyped because I have all of the .hack stuff on PS2 and the last 3 parts. So it was like original 4 games, and then they released 3 more after the fact based off of .hack Roots, which was like another anime in the same sphere of .hack, just sort of later into the future. And in the original .hack, you had like 4 games based around the original anime. Well, it was one of the first animes I really got into, and I just love the premise of basically if you watch Sword Art Online, they pretty much took a lot of stuff from .hack of you have this MMO that everyone's playing, and the anime is basically based off of people going into a VR game of it called The World and playing this MMO. And the anime takes place of the characters inside of the video game. And then there'll be little segments always referencing of like their other person in the real world as they're playing. And they may show little snips of the real world outside of the game or whatever. Now, that was way back PS2 days. If this is, we got 3 games that were remade, and we got a 4th part to that came out on PS4. And so we got, and then, which is really cool because we ended up getting a new part to an old PS2 game using the same engine or whatever and assets. So I thought that was really neat. It's like if you have Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and they just randomly released a 3rd one in that exact same environment many years later. So I thought that was really neat, but we got this countdown here of 127 days. It could be the original 4 parts being remade, which, if that's the case, I'm super, super hyped. Or it could be a new game, which I'd be super, super hyped. So either direction they go, I'm stoked. Now, what if it's not a video game, right? It could be, oh, just a new anime series based around the IP. If it is, I'm also all about that. I watch, because there's technically 3 animes. There's the original .hack, there's Legend of the Twilight Bracelet, which is like weirdly like a kid version, but it doesn't, it feels a lot more adult. It's weird. It's like, it's definitely catered towards kids, but if adults watched it, it's like if you were to watch, like, let's say Hey Arnold or something, of like there's a lot of things that adults can pull from and enjoy, even though it's catered towards kids, kind of level there. And
Sure.
then they came out with .hack Roots, like I said, which is my favorite of the 3. So if they did a whole new anime, I'd be super stoked. And again, it's been decades since we've really gotten anything, at least 2 from this IP and of anything new. But I will take remake, I'll take new, I'll take remaster, whatever. You got me. I'm just super stoked to see this and finding this out today. And I'm super excited to see what this may be. So I'm just stoked in general about that.
That's really cool. That's good
Yeah.
news.
Which I just feel I'm living in this like at least in the video game space or media space, anything that we possibly were always wanting, they're just throwing at us constantly. It's just like, I cannot believe how much good stuff we're currently getting. And my mind just constantly blown by that. This is something I would never expect to see. But after getting so many crazy announcements of like, oh, a Final Fantasy remake, all of this mess, it's like I'm feeling weirdly oversaturated by how much I could possibly want. It's just all just coming true of just like anything that I was wishing could be a possibility years later is just weirdly happening. And I couldn't be any more excited. And I'm going to keep being in this hype train because why not? So
Yeah.
there's that. And then you can get this next one here.
Sure. Okay, yeah. Starfield was the best-selling game in the U.S. last month. Video game analyst group Circana has released its September 2023 U.S. video game market highlights. And in it, the company reveals that developer Bethesda Game Studio Starfield was the best-selling game last month, which is the month it launched. And after just 6 weeks on the market, Starfield is already the 7th best-selling game of the year. That's good news. Glad to hear that. Always nice to
Well,
see games,
I think this is gigantic news on the levels of Game Pass.
Because it's
So
on
the
Game Pass,
amount
right?
of stories of like, if it's on Game Pass, you could say bye to video game sales, right? But people are still buying anyway. You
That's true.
have, well, I think the last number we got was like 26 million subscribers, something around in that realm. We don't know a current number. The last I saw was like last year of that. Let's say it just went all the way down to 20 million somehow. You already have 20 million people being able to just actively play whatever on Xbox or PC through the Game Pass, and you still sell a number one sold game for the month. And if you look further into this, it's already number 6 as top sold of the year. So anyone basically saying it's killing the video game industry, there's going to be no more like actual game sales. Everyone's just going to sub for like a month or two, play whatever, drop out. I don't know. I think just this crushes any Game Pass talk of it's somehow hurting sales. Because if a game is good enough, people are going to want it regardless. Game Pass or not, it's going to sell. Because I would understand if maybe we're in like the beginnings of Game Pass, but Game Pass is now 4 or
It's been a
5 years
while, huh?
old
Yeah.
at this point. So I can't really think of anything on the other side of what somebody may say as like to defeat this stance that I'm having of wouldn't this kill any talk on Game Pass destroying game sales if you have a game releasing that, well, as long as people want it and it's good enough, right? It's still going to sell regardless if it's on Game Pass or not. I just think that just point blank proves that. And so I just had to also mention that. But top 10 best-selling games of September, this is pretty interesting. Starfield number 1, like we said. Mortal Kombat 1. EA Sports FC 24, which soccer's gigantic, but it also is a new franchise, so maybe people aren't really trusting it that much. But still, for Starfield and Mortal Kombat to outsell EA Sports FC 24,
That's kind of crazy.
because that just came out. Madden NFL 24 at number 4, Payday 3 at number 5, another Game Pass game, by the way.
Yep.
NBA 2K24, The Crew Motorfest. This I wasn't expecting. I don't think anyone cared about The Crew, but I guess they do. Right. Armored Core 6, let's go. Top 10.
I was happy to see that. I was just kind of surprised. Like I didn't think it was going to be selling as much as it is, but it's doing pretty well.
Yeah, so I mean, not only is it not a Soulsborne game, right? It's complete new IP from software, but now they're just that big that people are still buying it because I don't think if it was just the IP that it would
Right.
be in the top 10. I
I agree
think
with
a
you.
big part of that is it being from Software. And
I think the From Software is what gets people in the door, and then they saw how actually good it was.
yeah. But happy to see that there. Number 8. Number 9, Hogwarts Legacy. Hogwarts Legacy still in the top 10. And then, of course, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, number 10. And then here are the top 10 best-selling games of 2023 year to date. Hogwarts Legacy, number 1. Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, digital sales not included, number 2. Physical alone, number 2. That's insane. I feel if digital was a part of that, it would easily be number 1, right? Anyway, Madden NFL 24, number 3. Diablo 4, number 4. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, number 5. Star Wars Jedi Survivor, number 6. Sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, yeah. Starfield, number 7. My bad. Mortal Kombat 1, number 8. Resident Evil 4 Remake, number 9. MLB The Show 23. Digital sales not included, number 10. So, that's where the current state of sales numbers are. And pretty interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the start, or excuse me, the whole shakeup of these is really quite interesting. Honestly, I really didn't expect the Armored Core would be as high as it is. I didn't expect. I mean, even the Starfield thing kind of surprised me because it's on, being on Game Pass and everything. Resident Evil 4, do you think that has anything to do with the DLC, maybe?
Well, this is year to date.
Oh, it's
So,
year day. I didn't even catch that. Okay, that's the bottom one. Yes, yes.
yeah,
Okay, I see.
yeah. If it was the DLC, pop it off hard, maybe it'd be in the top 10 of like September or anything. That's not September,
Yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
total of the year. Which is awesome that
Still
Resident Evil
pretty,
4 is in the top 10 total of the year.
and Zelda not having the digital sales included. That's funny because that would definitely
Yeah.
probably be even higher.
Hogwarts Legacy, I mean, I still think it was a
The
great
big one.
experience. Sold a bunch, and a lot of people don't really talk about it too much, but clearly a lot of people are still buying and playing it. And I genuinely thought it was a great time. And I still
Yeah, that
want to
was a
go
lot of fun.
back and finish it out, to be honest. I didn't even complete it just because we just got smashed, dude. Like, it's so much stuff, and I don't know what to do. But so many good
Yep.
things. So that's it. You can go ahead and take
All
this
right.
next one.
So next up, Halo Infinite. Remember that game?
I'm
Still
about
jump.
to jump back on. This season is getting me really
Yeah,
excited, and
sounds
I
cool.
haven't played it since, like maybe 2 or 3 months out, and then I sort of stopped, and I was like, let me just wait a while and have a bunch of stuff build up before I jump back in. And
Yeah,
I think it's about time I jump back in.
I still jump in here and there. I'll play here and
Okay.
there with friends, but their season 5 of Halo Infinite is here. Season 5 is called Reckoning. It brings with it a vast amount of new content, 2 new maps, Halo 4's extraction mode reimagined, multi-core helmets, a new 50-tier premium battle pass that never expires, alongside 2 operations, flood theme customizations, the Bandit Evo, and more. Also featured in this update is next game-changing evolution of Forge. Players are now able to populate their maps with friends and foes from the Halo Infinite campaign UNSC. Banished and Forerunner units can now be used to create your very own PvE experiences. There's a lot to take in, and we've just gotten started. Let's get you a full debrief. New maps. Let's see, Forbidden and Prism. Forbidden takes place within a vast complex of ancient stones ruins on Zeta Halo. Prism delves into the crystalline caves of the Subin, the so-called blood moon of Sanghelios, as a battle in the sky rages between the Arbiter's Sword of Sanghelios and Atriox's banished forces. All right, 2 new maps. That sounds cool. Extraction. Oh, I used to play this in Halo 5. This was a fun game. A fun game mode, I should say. Extraction is an objective-based game mode that was first introduced in Halo 4, and now this beloved mode has a new coat of paint with the latest UNSC and personal AI tech in Halo Infinite. Deploy extraction sites at different locations on the map to score points. Protect the site as it counts down to capture. The enemy team can convert and extract it for themselves.
Yeah, I agree. I
Multi-core
do
helmet.
like this mode, and
Yeah,
this is the first time we're getting PVE in Halo, which is super exciting.
yeah, agreed. I love
And
PvE anyway. So.
firefight stuff, I think, is around the corner, they're saying too. But yeah, keep going here.
Okay, and then finally, multi-core helmets have arrived in Season 5. We have made adjustments to every helmet in Halo Infinite, which means that all helmets in the game are available on all armor cores. That's cool. We can't wait to see what combinations you come up with, and as customization flexibility becomes more expansive than ever. We got a bunch of Forge updates. I'm not going to read every single one, but just know that they're really working hard on Forge and adding a ton of stuff. All different variants of enemies, grunts, jackals, skimmers, elites, brutes, hunters, marines, bosses.
Well, it's all based around, up until this point, there wasn't PvE. Now that there
Right.
is, it's a bunch of PvE stuff being able to make in Force. So now people can not only make maps, but now they can make PvE element maps to where, like, you join somebody's map, you can do a lot of co-op stuff of taking down enemies where you couldn't before. So that's the point of all of that. So.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, listen, I'll give them props. They've been working hard on this, and they still have Firefight King of the Hill coming later in Season 5. Is Firefight King of the Hill, a new take on the classic mode where 4 players must capture and defend hills against an onslaught of banished forces. That does sound like a really cool mode. So,
First of
props
all,
to
I
them
love King of the Hill.
Me
And the
too.
only thing that would make it better is like all of us
Firefight.
working together trying
We
to.
got to definitely try that when that drops,
Yeah.
because that sounds really cool.
But in general, I mean, I already like re-downloaded it on my Xbox and my PC. And I'm definitely gonna be jumping on it. I even downloaded it on my work PC here at the studio, just so I could also play it here with any downtime while I'm waiting for this or that. So I'm hyped.
Yep.
I'm
agree.
more just excited in general, like not just this new content of like I have like 3 seasons of content that I haven't seen any of the stuff. When Forge came out, I like dipped in it for like half a second. I was like, oh cool, SpongeBob map and all this crazy stuff. And I was like, and now I'm sure there's a lot of like really genuinely great created levels that people have now. And I really want to just dive into a lot of the more popular created stuff. Yeah, I'm stoked about that. So
Yeah. No, we definitely got to play that when it drops, because Firefight was so much fun. I mean, I had a blast with that back in the day. So, all right, you can take this next one.
okay. PlayStation-owned company hit with layoffs. The PlayStation Support Studios reportedly hit with a wave of layoffs, seeing several senior employees affected. Visual Arts Studio faces layoffs as several senior designers depart, highlighting the impact of support studios in popular game production. Key members, including former Ubisoft designer Daniel Bellamere, confirmed the departure from Visual Arts Group. Basically, getting into large trend of from Epic to CD Projekt Red. A lot of companies are starting to cut a lot of employees, and I think it's more to do with a lot of hires took place during the COVID things of making remote jobs. And there's a lot of people of like, hey, let's keep doing with this remote thing. But there's also just as many on the flip side of the coin being like, well, let's get a lot of people back into office and try to find more of a fine balance between the two. And I'm assuming because of that, they're starting to figure out, okay, we don't need this many people here, we need more people here, all of that. That's where I'm thinking all of these recent layoffs are coming due to. It's just the fact that we're going back to now being in office spaces again. Not everyone, and hopefully we can find like a good clean balance of remote and office, because I think there's pros and cons to it all.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with you. It's just, it sucks whenever you see these layoffs, but sometimes it's like, it's just the nature of the beast, I guess,
Yep.
All right, next up, this caught my attention because, man, just the title is kind of very interesting to me. New PS5 horror game looks like classic Resident Evil meets Final Fantasy VII. I was like, what?
I don't even know what that means, but yeah.
I don't know what that means either, but it just intrigued me. British studio SFB Games, known for games like Snipper Clips, which I really did love that game. Totally different than what this sounds like.
Yeah.
Is releasing its first full-fledged horror experience called Crow Country, which has a retro Resident Evil vibe. The game is set in rural Atlanta and follows Mara Forrest as she searches for her disappeared owner of a theme park, uncovering mysteries and secrets along the way. Crow Country will offer a classic survival horror experience, but also include a combat-free exploration mode for those looking for a more relaxed, interactive story. It is currently confirmed for PC and PlayStation consoles. Now, I wonder where's the meets Final Fantasy VII part coming in? You know, that's what I'm not sure of here. Let me see if I can
See if we can find some gameplay
Yeah, I want to
or
see if there's
video of
anything.
this.
Survival horror? No. New PS5 game. I see why they say Final Fantasy. I found a screenshot of it, and it looks like actually here.
Your audio cut?
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
It honestly looks. I'm gonna send you a video right now. It honestly looks like you're playing Final Fantasy VII. It looks a lot like it, but I guess the horror vibes is where they get the Resident Evil in. But interesting.
Let's see here. First of all, that music sounds very Final. Oh, yeah. Okay. It has the 3D polygon Final Fantasy VII look to the environments, the characters. It looks very pulled from Final Fantasy VII.
I think this could be cool though if they pull it off. Could be cool.
Huh. But yeah, they have those like weird blocky arms, feet, like things. But I don't know. It's so funny because it looks so dumb. Just if like nobody's like into the game, they just see it from the outside. They're like, yeah, it looks like crap. But somehow we're now just nostalgic for it.
Right.
And, I like it, and I know full well it's just because of my Final Fantasy VII bias. Like, and I don't care. I accept it. So yeah. Anyway, that looks neat.
It does. It does. It looks interesting. So.
Nintendo Switch 2 update may hint at backwards compatibility. Nintendo Switch's rumored success may be backward compatible, potentially allowing players to carry over their eShop library and accounts. First of all, I definitely believe that. Nintendo themselves have already said more than once that accounts will be carrying over into the future. So, Nintendo's decision to reuse accounts could smooth out the transition between consoles and could be similar to how PlayStation Store operates backwards compatibility. Now, there's no official updates yet. Nintendo adoption ideas from industry peers. Exciting thing. Yeah, it's just yet another person seeing a lot of back-end things of like, yeah, it looks like they're carrying over the account stuff into the new system. And because of that, there's a good chance you're still going to be able to just access your library on this new system. Now, so I believe it. Let's see.
Yeah, it's not like a huge story, but I thought it was interesting to get that confirmation, you know? So
Yeah.
I hope they finally nail the bringing your library over. Like, come on.
Because we have yet to actually really have that.
Yeah, you're right. Like from Wii U, it didn't all carry over.
And I mean, PS5, we got PS4 to go to PS5. The Switch is still technically the PS4 gen, right? So we can't say they're doing any better or worse than any other company, right? Because it's not like with PS4 we got PS3 stuff. With I guess Xbox is doing the best in this department because you can play if you owned a game on OG Xbox 360, Xbox One, you can play all of those on the new system. So that's probably the only company where they've got it figured out. Now, it's not every game, but it's enough, and it's every important game, so.
Yep, agreed.
And hold back on the comments. I'm sure there's some weird ass fucking original Xbox game you love that doesn't play on it. It's okay. Anyway.
All right, next up, Lords of the Fallen, the most important and ambitious game in publisher CI Games history. Hexworks Soul-like launched on October 13th on PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X and S with a myriad of performance issues. Number of patches later, and Lords of the Fallen is in a better place. The most recent patch makes big improvements to the game, with a further patch due October 26th that reactivates crossplay between PC and consoles. Lords of the Fallen is the most important and ambitious game we've developed in our 20-year history, and the first in our new planned AAA pipeline of games in the years ahead, said CEO of CI Games, Marek Tyminski. To see this fresh and innovative take on the action RPG achieve 1 million sales in just 10 days has been humbling for everybody at Hexworks and CI Games. I mean, that's impressive. Thank you to all the lamp bearers out there who have embarked on their. Okay, hold on. I got to call them out for a second here. It's kind of funny how they say the thank you to all the lamp bearers. I feel like that's totally like a FromSoft day. Every one of the games are always, thanks for all the chosen undead. Thanks for all the retarded, whatever. That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you Thank you to all the lamp bearers out there who have embarked on their journeys across Mornstead, fearlessly traversing the lands of the living and dead. That's Saul Gascon, head of studio at Hexworks. We're incredibly grateful to the passionate Lords of the Fallen community for their invaluable feedback and ongoing support. It's their unwavering dedication that has made this success possible. We couldn't be prouder to share it with them. In IGN's Lord of the Fallen review, we said Lords of the Fallen is a great Souls-like, and its killer new idea of swapping between two versions of the world to solve puzzles and slay enemies is an excellent twist to set it apart from the pack. The concept is unfortunately hamstrung by numerous highly annoying technical issues and weak boss fights, but awesome explorable areas and fantastic build crafting more than make up for these shortcomings. This is a game I'll probably get on sale at some point. I do want to play it eventually. It looks cool. So it looks like a better version of the first one there for sure.
So this is like almost there, and like Liza P is like 98% there. Right. If I'm saying between the two, I'm telling you, really should play Liza P. If you're gonna play this type of game where it's not actually from software, but it's the closest thing to it. But this is cool in the level of, I think, a link between worlds of going between the two to sort of figure out whatever, like puzzles, finding this or that or whatever. So that's a pretty neat thing there. But yeah, I'm happy for their success though.
Yeah, agreed.
Liza P also, I think, just hit over 100 million, not 100 million, just hit over 1 million sales, which is also gigantic, and also was on Game Pass. So,
yep.
I think I'm like sold in my mind, at least. I don't care if people agree with me or not. I think the game will sell regardless, as long as it's good, whether it's on Game Pass or not. So,
yeah.
But speaking of, I mean, this would be a good one for Microsoft to be like, wait a few months, pay a little, not a lot, get it up over there, and me try it that way. Otherwise, I can snag it on like a $20, $30 sale, but before I even think about it, I need to finish Liza P. And apparently, the ending of Liza P is batch crazy, and I really am now just like, fuck, I want to play through it, but I'm so stuck on like, I need to finish Starfield, and every time I try to, which we'll get into, but every time I try to, I just keep falling into these rabbit holes of like, no, this is far too interesting. I don't need to be just not doing it just so I can beat the game, because I'm still going to want to do this quest line anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah. I totally get that. That happens to me so many times. I got pretty far in Final Fantasy 16. I stopped to play some other games, but it's on my mind still. I'll go back to it. So I get it.
Yep. All right, Netflix hikes its premium tier prices yet again. This time
they're like abusing me now. Like, I'm gonna keep paying them, and they keep hiking it up. Like, what are you doing, Netflix?
Dude,
why?
I canceled Netflix, but then my favorite thing in the world, like, I'm not gonna not watch Castlevania Nocturne. I'm like, well, resubbing. And then now I'm way into this One Piece rabbit hole, which is the smartest thing for Netflix to jump on, because there's 1,000 episodes. So I'm guessing just off One Piece alone, I'm going to have it for the next 10 fucking years. So there's that.
Oh, it's just like $23? What the fuck is going on here, man?
I'm about to cave. I know, and they want this. They want people to cave and be like, fuck it, I'm going to pay for the $12 and just fucking have the ads. I can't pay this $23 anymore. That's what they want. That's what they want. They want people to just watch ads again. And I
want to have the top tier for the 4K on my TV.
I know. I don't want 1080, dude. Come on.
No, me neither. Like, come on, man.
I don't know. Maybe I can lower it to the 1080 and just see what it looks like. See if like I don't know. Like a video game, there's no way Like if I have a 4K or 1080 option, I'm choosing 1080. I'm losing so many visual fidelity
Oh
when
yeah.
it comes to like trying to get an environment that I'm playing in. But if I'm just passively, just as long as I can tell what's going on in the story and the character, whatever, maybe 1080 is fine for Netflix. Maybe maybe I can cave there. I don't know. I don't want to pay 23 a month. That's insane.
It's so much money.
That's
It's
insane.
just
That's
it's
like
ridiculous.
I don't know. That's like I was gonna say half the cable bill, but no. Cable bill eventually went up to like $100, $200 a month towards the end there, where people are like, I'm over it. But I don't know. I can't do it because that's the only things is like, okay, I finished Castlevania, so the only other thing that I'm really watching on there is this One Piece, and I guess I can just watch it elsewhere, pay something else, and maybe I will just drop Netflix again. Because I don't know what else. I mean, what are you watching on Netflix?
Um,
It's more of my kids, right?
so don't get me wrong, I definitely use it. Lately, my wife and I have been watching a lot of trashy television, like reality TV stuff that we're taking a break from like
What
our
was it?
serious.
Love is Blind.
Love is Blind.
Yeah.
We watched that. We watched this show called The Ultimatum. It's like the most ridiculous premises. They're so dumb, but I don't know. We just can't get enough of it. We'll always watch serious shows, and then every so often we'll go on like a reality show binge, and that's where we're at right now. So
Now, what do you think is the best in terms of like what they offer compared to the price and all that? I think HBO Max is dumb as of like them switching to just Max, and
yeah,
I don't know what the hell they're doing. But in terms of their content and what you pay, I think that is the sweetest spot you could possibly
the
have.
best one. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree, and I get it with my phone plan, so I'm not paying for that one outright.
Me too.
But
I get it with my AT&T. So yeah,
yeah, that was a smart move by them, honestly, because I love that. I think HBO is. Oh, sorry, Max
yeah.
is
Why would they
fantastic.
even ditch
Why
the
would they get rid
name
of
of
HBO?
HBO? The
That's what
most.
everyone knows. I don't understand that. That makes
It's
no sense to me.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, listen, don't get me wrong. I definitely don't hate Netflix though. I really like Netflix. There's a lot of things I love watching there. I just think the price is absurd.
But think
So
about it, Rudy. I think you can. I think you can. What sounds to me, you could drop it. If you're just watching a bunch of bullshit, you could drop
it's that's right now, but honestly, outside of
it.
that, we do watch a lot of other stuff. But you're right. I could probably get away with it and jump in here and there, but who knows, man? I'll have to wait and see on that one.
All
um,
right.
all right, next up, Ghostrunner 2, which I was really interested in this. It's just I'm being realistic. I have too many games, but it is something that's on my radar. So IGN gave it a 90%. Ghostrunner 2 is an electric sequel that supercharges everything that was great about the original and elevates it to a whole new level. The lightning fast, skill heavy, one-hit kill combat is as exciting as ever, packed with even more tricks that give you plenty of new options to approach every scenario. The parkour also remains as smooth as silk, and some of the new motorcycle sequences are among the most exhilarating moments I've had all year. Those who didn't vibe with the intense, reflex-heavy gameplay of the first Ghostrunner probably won't be swayed by any of these improvements, but if the original was up your alley, I can't imagine a better sequel than this. That's awesome. That's high praise. That makes me really
Yeah.
want to play this.
I
It was
never
also
even played the original Ghost Runner. I'm sure it's
I
great, but I just never did.
you ever play this game Katana Zero?
I mean, I'm well aware of like what it is. Like
Yeah.
it's basically
Like think like Super
what
Meat
took
Boy,
from
like,
Ghost Runner is that game Neon White.
yes.
It's
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
Katana Zero was a 2D game where you're like, you're this swordsman. It's like a really good story, and every level is like a
You're kind of
get
mapping
through it.
out the level of like, okay, let me take this enemy down, then this one,
Yeah.
and do that.
Yeah, exactly like that, right? And it was a great game, very good. And to me, Ghost Runner is the 3D version of that game. That's really how I feel about it. I think it's the perfect way to describe it. So I played the first one. I never beat it, but I did like the first one a lot, and this one sounds like it's way better. So
Okay.
yeah, Game Informer gave it an 85. With Ghost Runner 2 behind me, I'm thrilled more of this series exists. Even after rolling credits, I'm excited to tear through its levels once more to find collectibles like sword and glove skins and old world artifacts like VHS tapes, and try my hand some more at the delectably simple roguelite minigame. Though Ghost Runner 2 falters in a few ways, like its more open-ended sections and superfluous wingsuit, what remains in the hours outside of those missteps is its best in-class parkour action, and like its predecessor, it remains a damn treat. And finally, I got Noisy Pixel. Ghostrunner 2 embodies the epitome of a well-executed sequel. It doesn't overshadow its precursor. Instead, it leverages the original as the foundation for expansion and enhancement. The world building and character development represent a significant leap in quality, and the unwavering pace of action propels it into a class of its own. The introduction of new abilities, expanded non-linear level design, and refined movement mechanics render this game a must-play for those looking to hone their 3D platforming skills. So yeah, definitely high praise, man. It sounds really good. So something I'll definitely want to play eventually, you know?
Yeah, I do. So, let's just both get into the most important item here. Well,
Yes. You want to?
I was going to say most important, but now I'm kind of taking it back because what's better? Like, what's more important here? Super Mario Wonder. I was going to say Cocoon. Dude, I finished it, and I actually really badly want to talk about Cocoon as well.
All right, we could knock out both.
Anyway, we'll talk about it. But Super Mario Wonder, that's the more important here. And
yes.
Oh my god.
So much fun.
I'm in World 2, but not really because first of all, I'm getting annoyed in the greatest of ways. I'm trying to get all the fucking Wonder Seeds.
Same here.
God damn it.
I told you, I knew this was going to happen. I knew I couldn't just, it's so bad. I can't just play Mario. I finished the World 1, and then I start looking. I press R, and I start looking at my collection.
I can't beat a level, and there just be a missing Wonder Seed.
No.
Nope, free play.
I took it one step further. After I finished 4 or 5 levels, I was like, oh no, the little flag insert is blank. Now I got to get the top of the flag for each of them. So I ended up successfully getting, well, just for everyone who's listening to know, there are 3 purple coins in each level, carefully hidden most times. There's a Wonder Seed that you find in the level. You have to find the Wonder Flower. It could be a number of different ways. Fall down a random tube or, jump at the right time. Whatever. It's just usually hidden. You find the Wonder Flower. That takes you to the Wonder Seed.
We're pretty early on, and these seeds are way harder than I thought they would be. They are hidden well.
Yeah, and
oh god.
The thing I love is when you do find the Wonder Flower and you get to the area where the Wonder Seed is, it's so trippy. It's either the screen, either the graphics are all crazy, or the music gets wacky, or all of a sudden you have zero gravity, or there's one level where you're stretched 10 feet tall. It's just the weirdest stuff, and I love it. And anyway, you get through the sequence, you get the Wonder Seed. When you get to the end of the level, you always get a second Wonder Seed, and even some levels even have 3 Wonder Seeds. Sometimes another exit. And so what I did is I did all of the first world.
Which the other exit could lead to a whole other chain of these levels you couldn't access otherwise. So you really do, I'm not even just Wonder Seeds so I can get a little completion on the thing.
Right.
You actually get genuine rewards from these Wonder Seeds. They're very pivotal to be getting. So I'm I can't ignore them.
Yeah, totally. And what I ended up doing was I ended up getting the 3 purple coins in each level in World 1, as well as the Wonder Seeds in each level. And then 2 new things I want to talk about in this game. Again, me always talking about Nintendo's always reinventing itself, and they really did not let me down here. So first of all, I think they did an excellent job of including the little challenge levels, right? They don't feel so quick that you're like,
oh, dude, you know what it is like? Kirby.
Yes. Kirby and Forgotten Land.
Yes.
Forgotten Land?
Yes, they have those trials. That's exactly what it's like. Yeah,
that's a great comparison. Yeah. So Kirby had the trials, right, where you had one sole focus. In the Mario levels, it is similar, but they're kind of expansive levels. They're not 10 seconds. You could be in there for 2 or 3 minutes. It's a little longer.
Yes.
So I love that those are sprinkled in there. Whenever I get to a new world, I like to do those first. They're just kind of like a warm up.
Now, one of the ones that I was stuck on for a while is on the map itself, you can find a secret on the map in the second world that you go into a tunnel and it leads into some more hardcore levels. And a part of that is a hardcore time trial thing. You have to defeat all the enemies and get through all 3 tiers within 70 seconds. Did you do this?
I've seen those. I've seen that. Yeah.
Okay.
I did. I don't know if I did that one in particular, but I have seen that happen a few times. There was one in water.
Very, very hard.
They're very challenging. But aside from that, right? Aside from your normal, very creative, very fun levels, right? Then you have those side levels that I pointed out. And then you have what I think is really cool is they give you an incentive for wanting to be a completionist. You get more badges. Sometimes you come across a shop that has badges, and the badges are such a cool part of the game. You find these badges. I think there's like 20 something of them total, and they all do different things. Some of the badges I'm sure we've both gotten. There's one where you can press R in midair and you'll pull out his hat and sort of glide
that's
down.
the first one.
Super useful. I love that one. There's one I found that whenever you go into a new level, there's random blocks that will appear in spots that are maybe hard to get to. There's one where when you're running, you run super fast, and when you run off of a ledge, you will continue to run for a few feet, and then before it stops working. There's so many cool little badges, and I think they've never in 30 years of Mario, they've never done anything like this, and I think it's such a great twist on the formula, So you take all these new things, you throw it in, and then you put in there the perfected gameplay of a Mario game, and man, you have yourself
the feel of the control.
Game. Oh, it feels so good,
dude. It is. I mean, it feels exactly like Super Mario World. Like, cause new Super Mario Bros. Like the feel was there, but I don't know. It's just somehow feels better than any of those new Super Mario Bros. Game, and just the way the control stuff, like the characters.
I agree.
Now, all the characters that you pick, they don't have special attributes. I was a little disappointed, but once I started playing, it made total sense. Now I get it. You would kind of need that to be the case because now you can mess with upgrades with the characters, because if each character had their own quirks to them, like, oh, Princess Peach floats or Luigi jumps weird and all that mess, I don't know how you would have the badges on top of that. Unless you created individual badges for each character, and now you're going to have to create, 120 of them or something. So I don't know. I get why they chose.
I understand, but it really bugs me out. I played as Mario. I'm like, oh man, can't wait to try Peach or whoever. I don't remember which character I went to. And then they're all the same. I'm like, okay, Toad, no. Luigi, no. Well, what's going on here, man? So that definitely bummed me out. I think they could have found a way around it. But
I'm more disappointed on the fact of I can't play Yoshi, because if I play Yoshi, it's baby mode. And I'm just like, I want to play Yoshi. That's where I'm annoyed. But
I wish there was a way to turn it off, the baby mode,
Now, I guarantee you there's many, many people in our boat, and I might have to replay this thing in emulation with mods, because I guarantee you right now there probably already is a mod to allow you being able to play Yoshi without the baby mode. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, somebody's got to create that. So but this game, dude, it's so fun. There's so many layers now on top of it. I mean, it's been so long of just new Super Mario Bros. You're talking Wii, and then before that, it was Super Nintendo was the last one we got. We didn't get a 2D on N64 or GameCube. It took all the way to Wii till we got a 2D game. No, DS technically, and then a year later or two, Wii. But then you go this whole time frame of just nothing but the same thing, slightly tweaked, basically. Okay, maybe I can give it more credit than that, but you know what I mean. I'm so sick of them by the end of it. And it's finally just like, thank God we finally got a new 2D Mario experience, basically since the Super Nintendo. And there's so many amazing things. I can nitpick, character, whatever badges. I'm trying to think outside of character complaints. Is there anything? I mean, I love the map system. When you're choosing the levels, there's actually secrets up in there.
They've really done a good job with that.
Yeah. I'm very curious when we beat this if there's going to be some secret extra worlds or something like that. I mean, there always is, right? So they
always do it. And you know what? I usually go in first, play the game, find the stuff, and then as I start getting towards the end, I'll start looking everything up. Like, okay, how do I get the secret world? Whatever.
Also, this game takes place in the Flower Kingdom. Any game prior was always Mushroom Kingdom, right?
Mushroom Kingdom. Yep.
So now they have an excuse where now we finally get a whole bunch of new enemy variety, which is great. We're not seeing the same 10 enemies like we've seen in every other Mario game, because we're in a whole nother kingdom. And then it makes me wonder of okay, well, if you have Mushroom and you have Flower, what would be next? Star, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
Who
thinking
knows? Who
like
knows?
Mario Kart, right? You have like
Right.
mushroom, what leaf? I guess you could have like a leaf kingdom. I don't know what you
I
call,
just
but
I'm really enjoying playing through the world, then going back and cleaning up the things I miss. And it's great. It's just so much fun. I don't feel like I'm doing a chore. It just feels fun the whole
it
time. I'm
it
not
feels
tired of it at
so
all.
incredibly fresh and
Yeah,
just
I'm loving it, man. I
yeah
think it's a
yeah.
great game. We'll definitely have more to say on that.
Now
And
Cocoon.
next, yeah, by the way, I will say Cocoon totally caught me off guard. I think you just mentioned it. I looked up some
Yeah, I
screenshots.
mean, and this was like I played 2 hours of it, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, dude, this game's awesome. I've now had it completed, and I even
Right.
more and just like, whoa, that was an
Yeah, same
incredible
here. I
experience.
couldn't I couldn't put it down. I was like,
Yeah,
this game is fantastic. Man, where to start? Well, first of all, I've learned that a few of the people from Playdead worked on this game, which makes total sense to me.
yeah,
That's awesome. Those guys know what they're doing. This to me was the game that Somerville should have been, where I
yeah,
saw
yeah.
Somerville and I thought, oh man, it's gonna be another good one, and it was very mediocre. This game is fantastic. Wow, what a game! It's mind blowing to me that they made all these puzzles work without any like no stumbles. I just don't understand how they pulled this off.
I thought Inception, the movie, was confusing.
Oh
They
yeah,
took that movie and made it look dumb.
I don't.
This game is so like, wait, what the
Oh,
fuck? Am
it's
I?
out there. It's very very smart game. I don't even want to spoil it because I don't want to ruin it
I
for anyone. But I
know
will
I wanted to
say
say something so bad of like the
I
Inception levels of like, um,
I'll just
how could,
well
how could we?
let me throw something out there that I don't think is a spoiler. So
Okay.
I will say that it's obvious from looking at the trailers and stuff that yes, there's some level of going into these orbs, right? We know that, right? You delve into the orbs, you have to do puzzles, whatever.
Yeah, but it went somewhere I was
I
not
know, I
expecting.
know. What I thought was totally mind blowing is how, and I'm being careful here, is how they find a way to subvert your expectations multiple times. Where it's like, oh well, if I do one plus one, I'm gonna get two, and it's like no, one plus one equals seven right now. I'm like, it's like you use
I'm
your
trying to think of
the
how to
game.
word it where we would know what we're talking about without the
So
audience
all right,
being
maybe
spoiled.
this can help. Like the game is super logical. The game never doesn't make sense. But towards the end, it took me about a minute, like 5 minutes, to understand what just happened and why I ended up where I ended up.
Okay,
Sometimes I would get, you know
that's
what I
okay.
mean?
We're good. Yeah, and
Like sometimes
that's
I'd
what
be
I
like,
want. That's what I want to give the biggest praise to this game is towards the
yeah,
end when you realize you're in a
oh my god,
space you didn't understand you were in.
right,
That
and
we'll leave it there.
the way they use the different orbs, and then there's like areas, the way that they have the little, I forgot what they're called, the little like transporters where you can end up in, and you have to unlock
Yes.
them.
Yes.
The way they started using that was blowing my mind. Where I would
Yeah.
like do something and end up right there. I'm like, hold on a second. And then it would all click in my head. I'm like, hold on a sec. If I drop the orb here, but then I use this, then I'll end up here where the orb. It's like, what? Like,
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes.
It was
Yes. Yes.
the game is super cool. I think everyone should play it. I will admit, I'm usually really good at puzzle games, but I was really wanting to finish this game so I could play the new games. So I did look things up once or twice, like puzzles I got stuck on for a while. I'm like, okay, I gave this a fair
I
shot.
looked
Let me
up
just get a little nudge.
two puzzles, and they were both of like, I know it needs to be done,
Right,
but I
right,
don't know how to do it, and it's driving me insane.
right.
I know this thing needs to go right here. How do I do this? And it always ended up being something dumb of like, oh, I didn't realize I could drop a ball as I'm jumping. Right? Something
Yep,
like that. That's
yep.
a thing. So people hearing this, no, there's
They're probably like,
mechanics
what? Yeah.
that the game does. Well, the game doesn't tell me.
That is a good point. I got stuck on the same one that you did, where I didn't know you could drop it midair, for example.
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
know that. So the game, I think it could do a little better job in those aspects, but overall, man, what a smart game. I'm just blown away that they were able to pull this off and everything works right. It's just crazy. But yeah, fantastic game. I think it's totally worth playing. It only took me about 4 or 5 hours, I want to say, maybe 5 hours, something like that.
Okay.
So I think it's 100% worth playing. You can easily squeeze it in and get it. If you can, I would recommend getting on a portable system because I just feel like it's so good for that. The game does look super beautiful on your PC or console, whatever.
Yeah, but I ended up
Um,
playing it more on portable. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I think it's a perfect game for portable. Is this game out on Switch?
Yes.
Oh, perfect.
It's
Okay. Switch,
Switch
Steam Deck,
and Xbox platforms and PC.
Switch or
It's
Steam
just
Deck.
not
Perfect.
PlayStation.
Oh, I think one of those two would be absolutely perfect for
Yeah,
this
yeah,
game.
yeah.
So, yeah, very cool.
Okay. I was gonna get into Starfield. All I wanted to say was I finished the whole campaign of the one of the factions, and it ended incredibly well. Super happy with it. Did a lot of twists I was not expecting, and I just want to throw more praise to Starfield because I'm still playing it constantly. I'm still just thinking like, I don't know how and why people are not seeing the greatness of this game, but this has taken me back to, like I said in a prior episode, of like, I'm in. I'm fully in. I'm fully immersed. It's taken me back to whenever it was like 2001, 2002, playing Morrowind, of like, I cannot believe what I'm seeing right now.
Right.
And how great this game is. So, Spider-Man 2, I mean, did you play? Did you start? I
Oh my
didn't.
God. I knew I was forgetting something.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, let me add that in. So I played only about maybe an hour of Spider-Man. I played with my son because he really wanted to see it. He loves Spider-Man. So I played with him. And I think the first hour is really cool. Very, very cool intro. It kind of gave me like God of War, Ragnarok vibes. Not that they're similar games, but in the sense of there's a really explosive start to the game. You know, it's like pulls
Okay.
you right in, which I thought was really cool. The game felt great. Just swinging around the city again felt awesome. You get the wingsuit really early, but I don't like the wingsuit. It doesn't feel like Spider-Man to me that I can just indefinitely float in the air. That's really weird to me, you know? So I just continue doing the swinging. The game, now, granted, I'm only an hour in, just a
Yeah.
disclaimer. So far, I think it's a really good game, but I don't feel like it's that different yet at all, which it doesn't necessarily have to be, but I hope to see some cool new stuff that maybe I wasn't expecting. The switching between Miles and Peter is pretty cool.
I
I like
mean,
that idea.
that's exactly what I'm expecting, to its pros and cons, of like, almost like God of War 2 and almost like Horizon 2, of like,
Uh-huh.
I'm expecting the same, like, improvements, of course, but I'm not going to be wowed by it. Like, I'm not jumping from New Super Mario Bros. U to Super Mario Wonder and being like, whoa, look at the difference here, Um, like Cocoon, when you look at previous, from like Limbo to Inside to Cocoon, there's such gigantic differences. And is that unfair to expect a company to just completely reinvent what they priorly did? I don't know. I don't know. That's a genuinely good question, because it's like,
Yeah.
okay, think of like the top franchises of like, okay, a Final Fantasy. They do reinvent every time and make a gigantic difference.
Yep.
Halo, they really do. Like, between Halo 1 to Halo 2 was such a gigantic jump. And then Halo 3, a gigantic jump. Like, I
Oh
don't.
yeah.
I'm maybe we should expect a bigger jump. That would be a really interesting conversation to have at some
Yeah.
point, of like,
Yep. Yep.
where should our expectations be when it comes to a sequel to a big game series? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Because I'm like, I'm definitely gonna buy it. I'm definitely gonna play it the very moment I finish this and that. But I'm not like jumping at the gun of it because I played a similar experience already.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally get that. And it's it's a weird one. I have to play more to see how I feel about it. So far I like it, obviously, but I gotta see if it will be enough. Because I've played plenty of games where the second game is very similar, but it ends up being fantastic. Like God of War Ragnarok was one of those games. But I gotta
Yeah, but
see if
that's my problem with God of War Ragnarok, is like, well,
right,
it's
right,
a
right.
lot too much of the same. The same with Horizon. I was like, eh. But I'm trying to think of what's a non PlayStation IP to where
That did
like,
something similar.
yeah,
Maybe Splatoon 2, did they? Or 3? Because it's still a good game,
maybe
but
3 to 2, because 1 to 2 was gigantic, and then
okay.
3, yeah, I would say Splatoon 3. But
And again, it's not
I
any
don't know, because it's a multiplayer shooter. It's very, It's like
Even Smash Bros. What was it called? Smash Bros. For Wii U to Smash Bros. Ultimate. It's like, yeah, there were changes made. I am a huge
I
Smash Bros.
separate
fan.
in my mind multiplayer from single player experiences. I really do,
Gotcha.
because if it is a multiplayer experience, let's say Halo multiplayer, right? I don't want it to deviate too much from it because I want that multiplayer experience, but just a little better.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want that from single player experiences. I do think there's a good separation to have there. Same with any other multiplayer, like Call of Duty. Like I think they're going strong because they are like it's not drastically different experience whenever you're playing like the multiplayer. Um, let's try to think of one that isn't multiplayer, that isn't PlayStation. Because multiplayer, I think, is very different realm. I actually want it to be kind of similar when it comes to multiplayer.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well,
I'm trying to think of any Nintendo franchise. I mean, like
maybe the new Super Mario Bros.
Breath of the
game?
Wild to Tears of the Kingdom is so vastly
Okay,
different.
they are extremely different, but I could totally see someone feeling like it's very similar.
There's not
for
even
a while.
crafting in the original though, and the whole Tears of the
Right.
Kingdom is nothing but crafting. I think that's way too big of a difference. I really can't think of one. I don't know. But if it was multiplayer, like I would want it to be close.
Yep.
I don't know. That's
It's an interesting discussion, but I'm gonna keep playing it. I like it so far. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, is that why I'm carrying less and less on PlayStation? Is because of that? Is it because I'm like I feel I've already had these experiences last gen?
Could be.
Anyway.
It's totally reasonable.
All right. New Game Watch, and we'll get out of here. Battle Cakes, PC, October 26th. Dave the Diver, Switch, October 26th. Frog Detective, The Entire Mystery, all platforms, October 26th. Ghostbusters Rise of the Ghost Lord, October 26th. PlayStation VR and Quest. Ghostrunner 2, October 26th. All platforms but Switch. Minico Night Market, all platforms but Switch, October 26th. World of Horror, all platforms but Xbox, October 26th, or PC. Alan Wake 2. So, I just bought Alan Wake Remastered. I played Alan Wake when it originally came out. I hardly remember it. It was on sale for $9 for the remastered. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna snag that up. And I want to almost stop everything I'm doing, finish Alan Wake, because I actually badly want to play the sequel, and I also want to then go back and finish Control. I want to just deviate everything because Remedy is so cool and weird, and I'm so into their universe that I'm like, I really just want to play this Alan Wake remastered, go back, play Control, and then play this Alan Wake 2 and just make a whole thing out of it. But Alan Wake 2 comes out in like 3 days. Maybe I don't have to play Control. I don't know. It's just that DLC is the problem. I don't know how it connects. Maybe I could just look it up and watch how it connects. Because I know the main game doesn't even have any Alan Wake stuff in it, right? It's just that DLC bit that connects it. So maybe I can maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll just finish Alan Wake, jump into 2.
I'd love to play Alan Wake sometimes so I can play 2 as well because they look really cool. I just same thing I always say, just gotta get through all these games.
Anyway, EA Sports UFC 5, PlayStation, Xbox Series X and S, October 27th. Here's the cool weird bit here. Resident Evil Village and Resident Evil 4 Remake are coming to iOS because the new phone is somehow able to run these games, which is pretty interesting. But at the same time, on a prior episode, I was like, well, is it really? Because technically these are like, the fact that it's hitting PS4 graphics, the PS4 is what, 10 years old at this point? So it's not too crazy, but it's still really cool that we can even get the graphics on a mobile device. I'm not gonna play it on my phone, but anyway.
Sure.
Resident Evil Village and its expansion, October 30th on iOS. Juicent, PlayStation, Xbox Series X and S, and PC, October 31st. The Forest Cathedral, PlayStation 5, October 31st. Alien Hominoid Invasion, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, Switch, PC, November 1st. Now, this was an Xbox 360 live arcade game. Like, it was that Summer of Arcade game way back in the day when they had those, where they would pop off with all those, like, indie arcade things over the summer or something like that. Anyway, and it was a big hit at that time. Is this a new one? I'm curious what that is. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Song of Nunu, a League of Legends story, all platforms November 1st. Played Up, all platforms but PC, November 2nd. RoboCop Rogue City, all platforms November 2nd. Star Ocean, the second story R. This is the one I am jumping on out of all of these outside of Alan Wake 2. So it'll be Alan Wake 2 and Star Ocean second story R. All platforms but Xbox, November 2nd. The Smurfs 2, Prisoner of the Green Stone, all platforms November 2nd. The Talos Principle 2, all platforms but Switch, November 2nd. Thirsty Suitors, all platforms November 2nd. Vampire the Masquerade Justice, PlayStation VR 2 and Quest, November 2nd. And that will do it.
Alrighty. Well, I'm about to go play some Super Mario Wonder, so that's exciting.
Yeah. I'm so happy that it's good as it is.
Me too. I thought for a minute there, like, man, I hope it's not just. I was totally prepared. I didn't think this, but when it first was revealed, I totally was prepared for, like, okay, another 2D game. It'll be fun. But man, I didn't think it would be like way more than that, you know? Which I'm happy I was.
Yeah.
That's the case. So, yep.
All right, guys. Until next week.
See you later.